She came back with money, a good address, a good car, a good story about everything she had built. What she did not come back with was an apology that arrived before it was too late. Before we continue, drop a comment and let us know where in the world you are watching from right now. And if you are not yet subscribed to Turning Point Tales, hit that button. This story is only getting started. Patricia Webb left her 2 children on a Tuesday morning in March. James was 9 years old. His sister Lisa was 7. She did not leave a letter. She did not leave a note on the kitchen table. She packed one bag. She walked out the front door, and she did not come back. The reasons she gave, years later when she finally started giving them, were real enough. Depression, pressure, a feeling of being trapped that she said had been building for years. A relationship with a man who had offered her a way out, and she had taken it. All of that was true. None of it changed what she left behind. 2 children, 1 grandmother, a house that suddenly felt very quiet. Her mother, Dorothy, was 63 years old when Patricia left. Dorothy had raised Patricia through difficulty, had loved her through every bad decision she ever made, had believed, right up until that Tuesday morning, that Patricia would find her way. When James and Lisa arrived at her door that morning, James holding Lisa's hand, both of them in their school uniforms, Dorothy did not say anything for a moment. She just opened the door wider, let them in, fed them breakfast, took them to school. Then she went home and sat in her kitchen for a long time. Then she got up and she began. Dorothy raised James and Lisa for the next 22 years, not as a grandmother filling in, as their parent. Every school meeting, every illness, every teenager's argument at midnight, every moment that required someone to show up, Dorothy showed up. She worked 2 jobs until James was 15. She attended every single parent evening. She was in the front row at Lisa's school play 3 years in a row. She drove James to every job interview. She sat with Lisa through the nights she cried about a mother who never called. She never spoke badly about Patricia in front of the children. Not once. James noticed that. He would think about it many times as an adult. The discipline it must have taken. Patricia called 3 times over the years. Once when James was 12, once when Lisa was 16, once when James was 20. None of the calls lasted more than 10 minutes. All of them ended with Patricia saying she would call again soon. She did not. James Webb was 32 years old when his mother came back. He worked in urban planning. He had a flat he owned. He had a small circle of people he trusted completely. He had spent 4 years in therapy, working through the specific damage of being left. Not in a dramatic way. In the quiet, methodical way of someone who understands that the work is necessary and does it. He was not angry at his mother anymore. That was the honest truth. The anger had taken years to process. But it had processed. What remained was something more complicated. Something that did not have a clean name. Lisa was 30 years old. She worked as a nurse. She had a daughter of her own, 4 years old, named Dorothy. When Patricia's first message came, through a mutual family contact, Lisa read it once, then deleted it, then called James. She said she has reached out. James said, I know. I got the same message. Lisa said, I am not meeting her. James said, that is your decision and I support it completely. Lisa said, what are you going to do? James was quiet for a moment, then said, I am going to meet her once. Lisa said, why? James said, because I need to say something to her face. Patricia Webb had done well. The man she had left with had eventually left her, but by then she had built something of her own. A small consultancy, then a larger one, then a reputation. She lived in a good neighborhood. She drove a good car. She had friends who did not know the full story of her past. She had thought about James and Lisa every day. She needed people to know that. She had thought about them every single day. But thinking about someone and going back to them are 2 different things. And Patricia had spent 22 years choosing the first one. At 54, she had a health scare, nothing terminal, but serious enough to make her sit in a hospital room and think about what she had not done. She reached out 3 weeks after she left the hospital. The coffee shop was James's choice, neutral, public, somewhere he could leave easily. Patricia arrived first. She had dressed carefully. She had rehearsed things to say. She had told herself she was ready. When James walked in, she stood up. He was taller than she had imagined. He looked like her father. She had not expected that. He sat down. He did not hug her. He ordered a coffee. He was polite to the server. He looked at her. She started talking. She said everything she had rehearsed. The depression, the pressure, the feeling of being trapped, the relationship, the leaving, the years of thinking about them. Every single day, she said. I know I cannot undo any of it, she said. I am not asking you to pretend it did not happen, she said. I just want a chance to be in your life, she said. I have money now. I want to help. Whatever you need, James said. Stop. Patricia stopped. James picked up the photograph from the table. He turned it over. It was Dorothy, standing in the front row at James's university graduation, in a yellow dress, crying and laughing at the same time. The specific expression of someone who has worked toward a moment for 20 years and is now standing inside it. James set the photograph on the table between them. He said, "She died 14 months ago." Patricia's expression changed. James said, "Stroke. Fast. She did not suffer. I was with her." He said Lisa was with her. He said she was not alone. He said, "She raised us for 22 years. He said, "She worked 2 jobs so I could go to university." He said, "She sat with Lisa through every night Lisa cried about you." He said, "She never once said a bad word about you to either of us. Not once. In 22 years. He said, "She deserved to hear you say sorry." He said, "She deserved a thank you. She deserved to know that you understood what she did for your children." He said, "She never got any of that." Patricia had tears on her face. James looked at her. He was not crying. He said, "I forgive you," he said. "Genuinely, I have done the work and I forgive you," he said. "But that forgiveness is for me, not for you," he said. "The part I cannot get past, the part that has no resolution, is that the woman who deserved your apology the most is the woman who can no longer receive it." Patricia said his name. James put enough money on the table to cover both their coffees. He stood up. He picked up the photograph. He put it back in his pocket. He said, "I wish you well. I genuinely do." Then he walked out. Patricia sat in the coffee shop alone. For a long time, she looked at the table where the photograph had been. She thought about a woman in a yellow dress, crying and laughing at the same time at a graduation. She had not been there. Dorothy had. She left the coffee shop an hour later. She drove home. She sat in her good house, in her good neighborhood, and she understood, for the first time with full clarity, that the life she had been built on a foundation she never acknowledged. A 63-year-old woman who opened a door wider, fed 2 children in school uniforms, took them to school, and never stopped. The money Patricia had could not touch that, not even close. Lisa never met Patricia. Not then. Not in the years that followed. That was her decision, and it remained her decision. James responded to Patricia's message 3 months after the coffee shop. He said he was open to occasional contact. He said his terms were simple. No pressure, no expectations, no talk of making up for lost time. Just 2 people learning, slowly and carefully, whether there was anything left between them worth building. Patricia agreed. They met for coffee twice in the following year. Both times James chose the place. Both times he paid for his own. It was not a reconciliation. It was something more honest than that. 2 people at a table, starting from exactly where they were. Not from either of them wished they had started. James named his daughter Dorothy. She was born 2 years after the coffee shop meeting. He sent Patricia a photograph. 1 photograph. No message, just the photograph. Patricia printed it. She put it on her desk. She looked at it every day. She did not know what it meant exactly, whether it was an opening or a statement or simply information. She decided it did not matter. What mattered was that he had sent it, and she would not waste it. Some people spend their whole lives waiting to be forgiven. Some people spend their whole lives forgiving, and some people, the ones who really did the work, figure out that forgiveness was never really about the person who left. It was about the people who stayed. Dorothy stayed for 22 years, in a yellow dress at a graduation, crying and laughing at the same time. That is the part of this story that does not end. The part that keeps going. In a name, on a desk, in the particular way James shows up for his own daughter, every time, without being asked. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video and subscribe to Turning Point Tales. We will see you in the next one.